So I have been using the exact same operators this entire season, mainly because I keep dying to the same 3 guns every single game, which are literally any DMR, the TCSG, and the SMG12. And I mean, this being basically every match I play at this point should give us a pretty good answer as whether this is actually a problem or if I'm just coping blaming the guns instead of myself. But I promise you, it's not as simple as that these guns are just broken. I think it's a lot messier than that. Let's start off with the DMRs because DMRs are honestly the one I have the least issue with, and here's why. Both the Rooney's and Tuburu's DMR do 60 damage and above. So yeah, both of these guns two-shot basically anybody at close to mid-range. And on the surface, sure, that does sound a bit unfair. Like imagine a defender two-tapping you across the entire map. It's pretty annoying. There's even a pretty detailed breakdown from a Reddit thread specifically about this, saying that by slapping a muzzle brake on a DMR, it cuts the recoil by half, and that by stacking a vertical grip on top of it, it shaves off even more. So what you're actually holding barely resembles the gun it's supposed to be on paper. And honestly, that makes perfect sense. Like, why isn't there recoil on the DMRs? Like, there's strong guns with strong caliber bullets, so they should be going crazy, but no, they don't. Somebody else in the same thread just said that these guns should never be on defense to begin with, saying that Rooney's kit is already strong enough without one. And I mean, I kind of agree with that. But here's the thing, when I actually go looking for the no skill argument that everyone basically says about the TCSG and the SMG12, it kind of falls apart with the DMRs. And that kind of makes sense because with DMRs, they're single fire, low mag, and if you miss, you're almost always dead. The damage is really high, so maybe bringing it down to like 40 would probably work, but every single time you get a kill with a DMR, you low-key earned it, so I don't think this one's the real problem. There's also one smaller tweet I found that argued it's not about the DMR, it's actually the ACOG, saying why on earth you target the attachment instead of the actual scope that's causing operators to get picked. So we also have this other group that its thing is the ACOG being the entire issue. And well, that kind of makes sense. You know, this is not the first time this whole ACOG situation has been going around. Oh, and while I was in the middle of making this video, Ubisoft dropped some more news. They said that DMRs are getting hit with increased recoil, the damage is going to be cut down under 60, so it's a 3-shot kill instead of 2, and that the muzzle brake is going to be removed from the defense entirely. Which honestly, that's a way bigger change than I expected. But the replies under that tweet are basically this entire video happening in real time. Somebody straight up said that it's the ACOG that's the issue and the zoom in is the crutch, and that no one is going to be running a DMR with a holo, which we literally just talked about. Multiple people are also bringing up the scripts and all that stuff, so I'll bring that up really soon. However, it's when we talk about the TCSG12 where people start getting angry. I think people get angry because this gun is extremely easy to control, especially on console, and it even has an ACOG, so this gun is just insanely good on the defender side. There's even a whole thread where people are just complaining about the rapid fire and the no recoil on this specific gun. One of the mods on the subreddit actually replied and honestly made a pretty fair point, saying that the gun itself is not really the problem, is that cheaters are, and that if you nerf the TCSG, it just ruins it for everyone. Though they did agree that the ACOG specifically probably needs to go regardless. But I kind of disagree. I think the gun itself is way too strong. It does 75 damage and it shoots as fast as you can click, so I'd argue the gun itself needs to be nerfed. And I'm not the only one. When Varsity Gaming died to a TCSG in a clubhouse match, he said this.
True. Oh, no, that's my crutch. Oh my god, he's using a busted-ass gun.
That one's always a good one because it, like, somebody will whiff all their shots and then blame the gun. When the guy had, like, bad aim anyway.
I mean, if I had that TCSG, I would have won that. I feel like if they don't nerf it soon, though, people are going to get really antsy about it after the DMR nerf.
Yeah, I feel bad for console. It must be so bad there.
Yeah,
Like
that's another example where I'm like, I kind of agree with you, where sometimes they just ignore console, it feels like.
I mean, if my console plat friend uses the TCSG and gets around 10 kills on Emerald PC lobbies, there's a big issue here. Obviously, we've all seen Mingo running the TCSG basically on every game at a high level, so when people talk about what gun is the best gun on defense right now, they bring up Mingo and the TCSG. There's even a joke going around that him and Stompin have this aura where either of them start using a gun and they do good with it, it's a sign that it's about to get nerfed. It's pretty stupid and funny, but it also kind of proves my point because it's not just some random plat player getting cooked and complaining online. It's one of the best players in the game finding the TCSG as just the best gun in the game. So it's a common complaint, and we will probably see more of this in the next couple of updates, but right underneath all of that, we have the console problem of the TCSG. Someone described what it's actually like playing against this on console right now, said the recoil basically stops mattering the moment everyone on the enemy team is scripting, and described games where 3 separate TCSGs coming right at you every attacking round is a nightmare, especially when you're trying to solo queue. And when you really think about it, it's not just a one operator issue. You know, Cade has it, Goyo has it, and Sentry has it too. You know, my point is that you can have like a 5 stack of DMRs and ACOGs, and basically the attacking side can do nothing about that. And personally, I don't really think that's how the game should be played. You know, like you always see these 3 stacks together, and well, Rooney and Tub always get played too because of the DMR. So I think Ubisoft should at least try their hardest to fix that. Maybe take them all away or do the other things that I'm going to say later in the video. Anyways, enough hating on the TCSG, let's talk about the other gun in the title of this beautiful video, which is the SMG12. I guarantee you that if you hop into any TDM right now just to warm up and play the game like you always do, you're gonna see a couple of vigils and dokibis running around like it's Call of Duty, but honestly it kind of makes sense. The SMG12 has a 1270 RPM, basically the fastest in the entire game, and its time to kill against like a normal 3-speed operator is around like 142 seconds. So to anyone that's new to the game or unfamiliar with Rainbow Six Siege, you can look at this gun and say it has no skill, but if you look at the actual recoil pattern itself, it's one of the nastier patterns in the whole game. Except that's basically never what people are actually mad about when they bring this gun up. There's a post out there saying that they're sick and tired of every single match having somebody running around with this gun like it's Call of Duty. And underneath that post, you get people saying it's the macros, the Zims, and the Cronus devices, and claiming that a big chunk of those players running around with zero recoil on the SMG12 are all on console. Another comment goes even further, saying that the community has one of the worst self-glazing problems of any game out there, which I didn't even know that was a real thing. They added that the second someone posts a clip of obvious scripting, there's always a wave of replies saying that the recoil is not that hard and that you're bad if you think otherwise. So yeah, I don't think you can call all three of these the same complaint. Some of it is actually a skill issue, and some of them are just getting cooked by cheaters and blaming the wrong thing. There's even a tweet from Richie calling this the best patch in Siege history, saying that these are the most no skill broken guns in the game and good riddance to them. One person straight up asked why not just buff the other guns instead of nerfing these into the ground, which doesn't necessarily fix anything. But the one that actually got me was someone that said that capping the fire rate and lowering the damage on the DMRs changes nothing for the people already running scripts. And yeah, that's the whole problem in one sentence. You know, this update's about to punish the players who were never actually part of the problem. Now, Ubisoft's actual plan here is a new anti-cheat detection system plus a dedicated in-house team specifically working on this going forward, which sounds good on paper, sure, but we've all heard versions of this exact promise before. So I guess we have to wait if this will even work in the first place. But honestly, I think the real argument here is that these gun nerfs are actually Ubisoft nerfing legitimate good players because they can't catch the actual cheaters, so these patches are not going to work for the actual cheaters. Like taking the muzzle brake off defensive DMRs is a perfect example of that problem. You know, like a script doesn't care whether a muzzle brake exists or not. But then again, we can agree that these weapons are a bit too good, so I like to think of these patches as bandages to a bigger issue. So what do we all want Ubisoft to really fix? I think it depends on which of the two issues you are trying to solve. You know, like the TCSG12 needs an actual weapon fix because the gun itself is just way too good. Either every defender gets access to an ACOG so no one can argue that you're picking the TCSG for the ACOG only, or the defense loses ACOGs completely and the whole slug shotgun DMR meta gets removed entirely. And honestly, even if every one of these guns lost his ACOG tomorrow, Aruni, Tub, Cade, Goyo, and Sentry, you know, like they're still good operators regardless of the ACOG. That being said, we need to nerf Sledge. Anyways, the DMRs though barely need any kind of like nerf in my opinion. Maybe just a hard cap on the quick fire rate so a macro or an insanely fast trigger finger cannot push past what a normal human can actually do. Like I literally did some googling and I found that an experienced shooter can only shoot 2 to 3 rounds per second, while in Siege you can achieve 7.5 rounds per second. I mean, come on, you know, let's bring that down just a bit, maybe to like 5. The SMG12 though is the one that needs to be fixed. There's even a reply in the same tweet saying that the DMRs honestly did not need touching, but the SMG12 was valid, which I completely agree with. I think the fact that it's a secondary on Dogobi and Vigil, two of the most mobile operators in the entire game, is also a huge factor. I mean, when you play these two operators, it does feel like you have two different primaries, and I don't really think that's right. I'd personally cap the mag size of the SMG12 to like 20 instead of 32, but maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. So look, do these guns require skill? Well, some do, and some are just being targeted by cheaters, so it's a weird question to answer. But Year 11 Season 3 is supposed to touch all of this, so we'll find out pretty soon whether Ubisoft will fix it or if we're just gonna watch the exact same ACOG cycle happen one more time.